The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they, look, he's guilty. It's not a question, you know, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there, he's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of.
Do you remember when they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, this? Mm-hmm. And then they go, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Barack Obama's well-crafted legacy recently came under intense critique during a conversation between Joe Rogan and former President Donald Trump. They questioned the substance behind his most memorable moments, arguing that certain promises and slogans lacked real-world results. What followed wasn't just criticism, but a sharp, in-depth breakdown of political image versus actual impact. Stripped of media gloss, the conversation aimed to challenge popular narratives with unfiltered perspective and bold commentary.
A glass of water? I'm serious. I'm thirsty. Can I get a glass of water? This is not a prank.
You never seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's amazing.
No.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this, like this.
Problem
He's
is solved?
bullshitting the world. Watch this.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water?
It's there, he's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries.
It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. Those, again, very strong words from the President of the United States.
Nothing says modern leadership quite like a figure whose presence faded faster than the economy he left behind. Barack Obama, known for delivering 8 years of smooth speeches and chilly unemployment numbers, is once again in the political hot seat. And who better to reignite the conversation than Joe Rogan and current U.S. President Donald Trump, a tag team nobody expected, but now impossible to ignore. With sharp critiques and raw commentary, they peel back the layers of legacy, challenging the carefully crafted image with a dose of unapologetic reality.
Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden. And so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. And then they did rig the election in 2020. And then because I knew I won that election by a lot, I did it a third time, and I won in a landslide. Every swing state won the popular vote. But I won that all the same way in 2020. And look at the damage that was.
Joe Rogan steps up first, looking back at the Obama years and wondering how someone could make mediocrity sound like poetry. Obama had a rare talent. He could read a teleprompter like it was Shakespeare, even as policies quietly fell apart behind the scenes like a failed off-Broadway show. But Rogan doesn't just joke, he dissects the contradiction. How did a president earn near universal admiration while leaving behind a trail of unfinished promises and ambiguous change? Even the timeline of accolades seemed off. A Nobel Peace Prize before any real peace, especially before the first drone strike. For Obama, chronology felt optional. Rogan, unfiltered as ever, paints a picture of a president who rode a wave of popularity while redefining the term underwhelming. And then there's the medium more enchanted than objective, often treating him like a political messiah, while quietly ignoring the miracles that never came, like closing Guantanamo Bay.
President Trump shared an AI-generated video on Truth Social Sunday depicting the arrest and imprisonment of former President Barack Obama. The video opens with a montage of Obama and other Democrats that no one is above the law.
No one, especially the president, is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one.
After that, the song YMCA kicks in as a fake video shows Obama getting arrested by FBI agents with Trump smiling beside him. He's then depicted in an orange jumpsuit sitting in a jail cell.
Then enters Donald Trump, not the reality TV host or business mogul, but the sitting president of the United States, and he's not here for polite debate. He arrives like a political wrecking ball, wrapped in red, white, and unfiltered energy. Where Obama represented polished branding and diplomatic ambiguity, Trump positions himself as the blunt force reality check, and he's come armed with critiques. He questions how a campaign built on transparency resulted in an administration layered in red tape and expansive surveillance. He challenges the promise of unity that, in his view, led to deeper national divisions, while Obama often floated above criticism with media grace. Trump grabs the mic and speaks directly, calling out foreign policy moves that, to him, looked more like appeasement than strategy. He critiques the praise of diplomatic genius given two actions he sees as naive concessions. Meanwhile, Rogan wonders aloud, did world leaders truly see Obama as an equal at the global table, or simply as a well-spoken idealist more at home on a book tour than in a geopolitical arena? The answer, he suggests, may not be as flattering as history once believed.
Comes days after Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard announced plans to refer former Obama administration officials to the Justice Department for prosecution, accusing them of fabricating intelligence about Russian interference in the 2016 election. She reiterated those accusations on Fox News this weekend.
Maria, the implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office.
Trump, with zero filter and full conviction, breaks the fourth wall and challenges the narrative. He questions how a leader praised for transparency could preside over an administration accused of surveilling journalists and expanding the power of intelligence agencies. What was once called a scandal-free presidency, he argues, looked more like a carefully managed media performance. The irony. The champion of democracy seemed increasingly aligned with bureaucratic machinery. Joe Rogan joins in, pointing to what he sees as a trail of mismanagement from IRS controversies to failures in veterans' health care. Together, they paint a picture of a presidency marked by unfulfilled promises and rising division, where Obama handed out microphones and hoped for unity. What followed, according to them, was confusion, polarization, and performative outrage. Trump closes with his signature tone. Leadership, he says, isn't about eloquence, it's about outcomes. While Obama spoke thoughtfully on America's challenges, Trump insists that decline is a choice and one he refused to accept. Love him or not, Trump doesn't speak in vague ideals. He sets goals and charges through them.
With your support on November 5th, you know what's nasty to me? Michelle Obama. She was, ooh. I always tried to be so nice and respectful. Oh, she opened up a little bit of a box. She opened up a little bit of something. Oh, she was nasty. Ooh. Shouldn't be that way. That was a big mistake that she made.
As the critique intensifies, Joe Rogan charges into the next chapter of Obama's legacy like he's exploring a haunted house filled with missed opportunities. Front and center is the now infamous red line in Syria's symbolic stance in foreign policy that, once crossed, was met with inaction. Rogan likens it to issuing a warning with no intention of following through. A moment that left global observers questioning U.S. resolve. He highlights the controversial decision to send billions overseas in a covert diplomatic movement to build bridges, but seen by critics as concessions with little return. What did America get? They ask. Promises that faded as quickly as political slogans. Trump, never one to hold back, responds with visible frustrations, suggesting that if trust were a form of currency, the administration spent it recklessly in hopes of earning goodwill from adversaries who, in his view, gave little in return.
Because things are actually happening. Very different than most of the time when people get elected.
And I will shut down the Federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the state.
Most of the time when people get elected, they claim all these things when they're running for president, then they get into office and not much changes.
Individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
And in fact, a lot of what they campaigned on They don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers.
No, I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination of these laws.
Protecting whistleblowers, which they didn't do at all. There was one of the worst
Rogan lights up next, targeting what he calls the legacy obsession. He jokes that Obama might have been the only president already planning his library before accomplishing anything concrete. To him, it felt less like a presidency and more like an extended PR campaign propped up by media coverage that often resembled fan service. He pokes fun at how the press still treats Obama like a mythical figure. Despite practical stumbles like the infamous healthcare website rollout, which crashed repeatedly and became a national punchline, Trump, as direct as ever, adds that what he inherited wasn't a clean slate, it was a tangled mess dressed in diplomatic language. He argues that many issues later blamed on him were actually rooted in decisions made during the previous administration. Rogan circles back to the real paradox, the obsession with style over substance. Obama, he says, was praised not just as a leader but as a cultural icon, like the country had hired a magazine cover model to run the most powerful office in the world.
I authorize the armed forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect Libyan civilians.
Go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all Otto went on stage, and he roasted Trump.
Donald Trump is here tonight.
And one of the lines he said to Trump, he said, I'm one thing that you'll never be, which is the president of the United States.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
And you could see Trump in his head going, okay, I'm going to run now. That one moment where Obama was talking shit to him might be the reason why Trump was like, I'll show you.
Rogan questions how anyone could mistake poetic speeches for effective leadership, especially while American manufacturing quietly moved overseas. If eloquence were all it took to run a country, he jokes, every TED Talk speaker would be a world leader by now. Trump, never one to pull punches, scoffs at the concept of leading from behind, calling it a motto so passive it could have defined Obama's entire approach. In his view, Obama didn't lead the nation, he narrated its decline. While rival nations projected strength, Obama issued apologies. Where unity was needed, he formed coalitions that struggled to agree on who was in charge, resulting in policy paralysis and global uncertainty. Rogan laughs, noting that when crises hit, Obama didn't put out the flames he handed everyone, a match wrapped in a speech. Trump adds fuel to the fire, taking aim at the education system, arguing that under Obama, it spiraled into decline masked by slogans instead of solutions. As the two continue stripping away the polished veneer of Obama's public image, one pointed critique at a time, it becomes clear. This isn't just a roast, it's a reckoning. There's more to uncover, more myths to challenge, and a legacy that, in their eyes, still demands a closer look.